This podcast contains real stories, adult language, and occasional chaos. Some content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised, especially if you're easily offended, overly nostalgic, or still living in a dorm.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dorm Disorder. This is part 2.
So one day, I found out that the kids loved wrestling. I'm not a big fan of wrestling.
WWF we're talking about here.
We're talking fake wrestling.
TV wrestling.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And they
Not
would
my
have
wrestling.
WA.
Yeah.
you know, those Saturday afternoon wrestlings back then?
Yeah.
They used to tape them at the arena during the week at night and then show them.
Saturday morning.
But they would tape maybe 3 shows.
Mhm.
You didn't know that because they just broke it down like that. So one day, the kids, somehow we got tickets to go to the arena, which is no longer there, 45th and Market.
Mhm.
So I said, yeah, I'll take him. I load up. And unfortunately, it starts to snow.
Oh,
Prediction,
wow.
3 to 4, maybe 5 inches. So I go to Jim, do I go? He says, well, what do you think? Can you handle it? I says, well, I'll take it slow. And the kids are, please,
There
please,
you go, right.
they're all, So I take them there and they have all of these guys. And of course, I'm watching this guy. He can't raise his hand because he got his arm twisted. I go to the bathroom. They had the locker room open. He's drinking a beer with the hand he couldn't raise.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So here we come and we're thumping back at 10 o'clock at night, okay, in the snow. We make it without any problem. And every single one of the kids getting out said, thank you. That was so great, Mr.
That's
Clark."
awesome.
Yeah.
And how can you not
Exactly.
do that they were so appreciative. So that's the kind of stuff. Now, there were times where I had to be the side that they didn't want to see,
Right.
but I can't say that on.
So before we get too far, we definitely want to talk about the time that we know you best as a teacher. So you also worked hand in hand with so many teachers that folks from the 80s and 90s also really appreciate. But I'm sure there's a couple of those that you probably didn't appreciate. Why don't you tell us your favorite and least favorite teachers you worked with?
We can leave names out of it. You got it.
Hey, listen, we had a social studies department, bar none, the best we've ever had at
Absolutely.
Girard.
Yep.
Okay. And the 6 of us, Roland, Jorno, Kaz, Gallagher, myself, and Leek, we had our idiosyncrasies. We were not easy, but we cared.
Right.
We liked the kids. We brought a stability to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
There was no messing around when we were on the floor.
Yep.
Okay. Everybody knew that. But there were teachers, I was always professional to them. Okay. But I tried to avoid certain teachers.
Yeah.
Okay. I would even I got to run to the bathroom, that type of thing. I was almost like a kid just trying to get away. And there were teachers, and we had one guy in particular who was supposed to be in charge of AV.
Okay.
And all he did was order the new movies, but he would take them home and watch it himself. And instead of expanding the annex for AV, he sat around smoking his pipe. Okay? So that's all he did.
Go for it, man.
I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I don't want to say. I don't want to say the name.
Now, I had forgotten his name, but as soon as I mentioned this, the name just threw into my head.
Yes.
So anyway, he would come up and he would complain how bad Girard is. And finally, I've had enough. And I came to him and I just said, listen, you don't do it around here, okay? All you do is complain. We can't even take kids to the AV room because you have nothing for us, okay? So from now on, if you don't have anything positive or good to say, don't even talk to me.
Yeah.
And he never did. He left Girard that summer. I never saw him after that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good. Shoot the bad ones away.
And then we had a life skill teacher, and she was supposed to teach about cooking, and all she did was tell kids how bad the principal was and the teachers who she didn't like. And
Was this person orange, by the way?
I believe she had some color.
Oh.
And she lied consistently.
Yeah.
Like one time she came to me and said, "Remember I told you about my dead husband? Well, I found out yesterday he's alive and he's driving my Cadillac." And I said, "This is like 6 years later. You just found out he's alive. I can't blame the guy, but that's another story."
Did she report the Cadillac stolen? Like,
I don't, that's how much she lied. So I just want nothing to do with it. I then became the topic in her class because kids came to me and saying, "Oh, he's that," whatever it was she was saying. So one day we're leaving the annex and somebody put the door, broom through the door so no kids could come in the annex. John Martino, gotta love him. He said, "How is she going to get home tonight?" I'm telling you, John Martino, he had a joke for everybody. I can't tell you some of the jokes he had about me. But yeah, she was definitely not my favorite person.
Wow.
So,
wow.
yeah, there were others. And then one day, one of the English teachers, I think it was Kelly Gardner, went on sabbatical, and she was replaced by this teacher who was very bright. She was a little older than me, and I didn't really know her, but again, I was friendly with everybody.
Right.
That was just my personality. So I'm talking to her, and all of a sudden, I noticed that she'd start coming into my room, and then she would say, "I'm having a soiree Saturday night.
Soiree.
I'd like you to come." I says, "Well, who's going to be there?" "Oh, some of my friends." I invited Mr. Stein and a few of the faculty members. So I immediately go to Bill Stein. I said, "Were you invited to the soiree?" He said, "Never heard of it." I says, "Well, I came to her." I said, "I'm sorry, but she didn't know I was married.
Yeah.
I didn't have a ring because we didn't get married till later, Karen and I."
Yeah.
And she said, I said, "I'm sorry, but my wife and I are going to be out Saturday night." So that kind of ended. I mean, it got to the point that she would come to the faculty dining room at lunch, and the two librarians, I don't know if you knew Miss Falk.
Oh,
Of
hell
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Miss Kipping.
Yeah,
They
Kipping,
were
yeah, like,
I called them the
best.
Grand Dames. They were my buddies.
They were the best.
And they were my mentors, especially Miss Falk.
Yeah, Miss
She
Falk was
taught-
awesome.
She taught me how to stare down a kid to scare the hell out of you. Okay. So they realized earlier before I did that she was trying to, get the romance started. So what they did is they sat, every time she shut up, they sat right next to me. So, either side of me. So do you know one day she pulled up a chair and told Miss Falk to move over and squished right between
Oh, wow.
and I was like,
Bold.
and yeah, so when later on she said, "We thought we had you covered," but so my favorite story about both of them, and maybe a little long, but the elementary school used to come up and Miss Kipping used to read
Yep.
stories.
Yep.
And she would have a kid on her lap, kids around her, and she was reading the story and waving the finger at the kid who wasn't listening or talking. All in one moment, everything
Easy.
done.
Yeah.
Easy. So one day she was out. Jamie Falk was going to replace her. So the freshman came and Jamie Falk did the same thing in her own way, though, a little different. So next week I'm in the library because I used to go off and I loved the library building.
Yeah.
The kids came up and they ran to Miss Kipping and they said, "Now these are first graders. Jamie Falk's black, Miss Kipping's white. One's a city, one's a suburban." Okay. The kids come up and said, "Oh, Miss Kipping, it's good to see you." He says, "We had your sister last week tell us a story and we liked it, but we really missed you." And I stood there and said, these kids don't know the difference between black and white. They just know that these are two wonderful ladies taking
Yes.
care of them. And I said, then they come in 9th grade and they're haters, and just like that, So that's what told me the story of how these kids don't know the difference.
Yeah.
Unless they're being taught.
Yep.
And so I used to love to go to library. Then Miss Kipping and I used to sneak down to the library basement, have our cigarettes.
Just Kipping smoke. Look at that. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Miss Kipping.
She was so nice. Look at her. She had the 1950s hairdo that looked bomb
She
all
was
the
sweet as
time.
pie, but yeah, she smoked. We used to go down there and have our cigarettes. And I remember we would come to the library. I went pretty often, and one time it was assignment during the month, and the other week of the month was private reading, but no talking. Just go find whatever book,
Yeah.
magazine. So the boys would go get the Sports Illustrated and all that stuff. And somebody would start laughing, and all of a sudden the kid didn't know what hit him. Miss Falk. And they saw those two stares, and it was quiet. And she was so good, she would speak. And one day this kid starts squirting the water fountain on the outside the library,
Yeah.
proper on the staircase, and he squirting at another kid. And she literally picked them up, slammed them, not in my life. Go to the bathroom, get paper towel, wash this, wipe this up, and you will be working with me for the rest of the week. And just like that, every time you saw Jamie Falk, that kid was towing behind her, carrying books, carrying her mail. I mean, she was a mentor. She taught me how to take care of kids,
That's amazing.
or one of the ways,
Library had Jet magazines too.
Library
Just
did
saying.
have Jet.
Just saying. Some of those pictures
Beauty of the week.
did go missing.
Somewhere
and hang
between
on my
page
wall.
40 and 45.
I don't know if they put out the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated
Oh,
or
you
not.
didn't need a beauty of the week.
Nah, that Beauty of the Week. That was the go-to. And you always knew if the older kids got to the library before you, because you would go to grab the Jet and be like, it's gone.
It's gone.
You just be mad. Because
all
you
day
did.
You guys were perverts too.
Yes, absolutely. My class was probably the perviest class to ever graduate, Girard. We haven't actually gotten to those conversations.
I have to
but
ask
we
you
were
later
bad.
on who were some of your classmates, because Fish is the only one that knows. I have to,
Fish knows everybody.
but yeah, I can't juggle the, classes. I always ask what class they're from because I never know, because I have over 1,000 kids in my head.
Yeah.
I was just telling somebody recently, 9th grade, I had 5 Aaliyahs in the 9th grade, and
Wow.
every single one spelled it differently.
Well, we had like 4 Tiffany's, 3 Tiffany's, and all of them spelled it differently.
Okay. TPPHA,
That one?
All right, now I know a little bit who's in your
Yes.
class. Talk about a piece of work. But anyway, I hope she sees this too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she
But
saw
you
it.
know what? She once gave me a really nice compliment. Okay, without mention, she said, she might have mentioned my name. She said, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to listen to Karp. Never work on your birthday. I'm going to tell the kids, I'm going to take them out of school for the day, and we're going to sit at home, eat whatever we want, and watch movies. And says, I said, if I made that much of an impression on someone, I'm very happy, because I always told the kids, I never work on my birthday.
I'm 47 years old, minus my time in the Army. I have never worked on my birthday as a civilian, not one single day.
It is special. And I used to get in my car on my birthday and just go and drive in a direction, or go out and have a special lunch just by myself when Karen was working. Now we do it together, but that was just a tradition I started back when. And Bill Stein used to say, oh, well, guess what? Your birthday it falls on the weekend. I said, I'll take another day then.
Get that Friday.
I'll work that in, but so yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, that's
So before we lose too much time, as we're getting close here, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about you and your relationship with basketball. And of course, your time playing against a couple kids at Girard?
I had so much energy. I played in high school and in college. I used to pay freshmen to come to the gym and feed me and get the ball so I could shoot for at least an hour, hour and a half.
Nice.
Okay. And the kids would do it, because I give them $1. I mean, back then, or $2. And back then it was a lot of money. So I was always shooting. So I get to Girard and I look at this gym, this armory. It's an airplane hangar.
It's bigger.
It's big. And I just wanted to play. So I don't know how that all started, but Steve and I started to organize the softball games, the football games, basketball games. But then he and I got to be friends. And he gave me another shout out to him. He gave me an advice that I still hold today. And I tell Karen that sometimes: what you can't control, let go.
Yeah.
What you can do.
Yep.
Okay. And that changed because I used to get pissed off at, the way the administration was running or what the board did. And then eventually I just said, I can't control that, but I can control what I do. So the kids would come up and say, we want to play you and Mr. Young. I said, all right, we'll see you at the gym Tuesday night, whatever it was. And then we put a whooping on them. Now, there were some guys that gave us trouble. Jai Hill was the only one that beat us 2 in a row. Nobody else beat us 2 in a row.
Got it.
For years. And then some, after we whooped them, they would just, oh, you guys cheat. You're old men. You foul too much. And they all run. They would make all kinds of excuses. But we would play really hard. So then as we got older, we start noticing that the kids are running us and we're getting tired. So we came up with the number 1 play. The number 1 play, whatever, could have been the 2 play or the 3 play. It was the same play. We would go out there and just throw the ball back and forth to each other to get some air and relax and just say, and we knew that sooner or later, the kids don't have the patience for that. So one would always say, they're just trying to lure us. So just don't do anything. Just stand here until they're ready to do anything. But soon enough, they start creeping up. And then one of us would pump fake over the top, boom, layup. We didn't have to run anything. And we would do this constantly. And I remember one time we were getting beat and we decided to take a water break. And he told me, we're not losing this game. And I said, all right, let's go do it. And we beat them. There were times where we quit after 2 because we were just so exhausted.
Yeah.
But then I did coaching, but I didn't enjoy the coaching as much. I'll be honest with you.
So how did you get into the coaching? That's an interesting story.
I did the early basketball, middle school, baseball, and soccer. But basically, the 2 coaches had some beef with Bill Gallagher, and they decided that they were not going to coach. And so Bill didn't want to coach because he was athletic director and all. He had other things going on.
He's a baseball guy.
Baseball guy. That was
Billy
his
baseball.
love. He loved baseball. That was his number 1. So he comes in and he worked on me for weeks. And finally I said, on the way to lunch, I said, okay, I'll do it. So I come there and there was a third guy, forget his name. I said, do you want to stay? And he said, no, I'm not going to stay with you. Those 2 guys are not there. So I had to find an assistant.
Some assistants, yeah.
And then I come into the locker room and the kids, and of course the seniors are pissed.
Yeah.
Because they loved McKay. And yet, a lot of times as we went along, I said some things and they say, well, other coach said, don't embarrass me out there. And I would say, why would a coach say that to a team? I couldn't understand that. So I had to go through being shunned a little bit, But if I didn't like the way to play, I'd pull them and put someone else in there. So I cut a kid that was a pretty good basketball player because I asked him, why are you playing basketball? He said, because I want to score points. It's all about, I said, is this about you or the team? It's about me. And I said, and he would have helped us, to be
Right.
honest with. And I brought in a kid that rarely played just to make a point, because the kid showed up every day. He knew he wasn't going to play. He practiced hard. That was what I was trying to instill. And then I told Jai, we're just going to run a lot of plays through you. They already had a good base from McKay and Gibbons, who did a good job. They had the threes, all of that. I'd let them do, and I just changed some things, added some things. And then there was a series of games. We started out well, then we had a couple losses, and then there was like 4 straight games where we scored 90 to 105 points a game.
Wow.
And like I told you, we beat Bristol 96-95. It's the most exciting game I've ever been part, either as a coach, player, or a spectator. And it was phenomenal. And speaking of Bristol, you know how they're serious about their game? They both lost the junior high, the junior varsity, and the varsity.
Wow.
And a bunch of the students hung outside by the bus. And I just stood there and I told the team, just keep moving, don't say anything, don't even look, and they get on the bus.
Yeah.
And we got on the bus, and then as we were leaving, we said GC or we did something to let them know that. And then on the way, I did my Southern preacher imitation. Hold on, that stuff like that. And literally, the school yellow bus on 95 literally was rocking. Oh, you know how kids always fall asleep after a game?
Yeah.
There was nobody sleeping on that bus.
That's some good stuff right
So
there.
now I come home. I'm in my apartment. It's 1 o'clock. I had to take him to the thing. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm wound up. I can't fall asleep. And there's no one to call. Who am I going to call at 1 o'clock in the morning? I don't think I slept the rest of the night.
That's awesome.
So after this, we went to Caravel Academy in Delaware.
Uh-huh.
So we come into this school. I know nothing about the school. The coach comes to me. We introduce each other, and he says, "Boy, you've been scoring a lot of points lately. I see the newspaper clippings. Well, we have a small school. I don't know. Can you take it easy on us tonight?" And I'm saying, what is he doing here? So I go in the locker room, and I said, "Boys, that coach is milking me.
Yeah.
He's trying to tell me that, they're not so good. We should take it easy. I want you to go out there and kick butt." And we go out there, and the guy is going to guard Jai, man to man. He even painted Jai's number 21 on his shirt. He was going to stop him. Jai got the ball 3 times in a row and jammed over him. And I'm standing there, oh yeah, we beat him 105-88.
Nice.
It was a
Blowout.
It was a blowout, and it was just a match. And Jai, I think, I forget what he scored against Bristol. I think he scored 50 points. He was on fire. So then they said, we're going in the zone. They left him outside. Jai's hitting trays.
Yep.
It was just unbelievable. Then they run at him. He dumps it down low. Cooper or Elijah, easy layups all day. It was really good. Again, another nice ride from Delaware to come back home.
Yeah.
But then after that, we went to Hill School.
Ah, yes, the good old Hill School.
We go in there. They put a 1-3-1 on us, and we got hammered. Bill Stein is sitting in, because he lives out that way. He's sitting out there, and anything I tried, I got technical, everything I tried. They had a kid that also scored 1,000 points.
Yeah.
So they had a really good, they thumped us really good. That was like a real, woo, back to earth,
Back to
baby.
earth, yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
That was good. But, and after that, I really didn't really have any great desire to coach. I coached for a couple months the following year, but it just wasn't fun.
Right.
It just wasn't fun.
Yeah. Mike and I talked about that. We talked about that run that year, the 89-90 year, with Jai Hill and some of the players and the influence they had on me, because that's what made me want to play sports at Girard was watching the the crowd and watching the team and watching everybody like kind of come together and show support for each other. So, but you've saw some great players. I mean, Terry Allen was no joke. Michael Leatherbury was the guy I chased in soccer.
Yeah, in
because
soccer,
his goal.
He
but
played
he
good
was
ball. He played good ball.
he was an amazing athlete, and you've seen a lot. But I've always heard stories about how great Michael Leatherbury was. I do want to say he's a Cowboys fan, and that's one of the most disappointing things I find.
It is.
a little
It
sickening.
is.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, there's a cure for that now.
Well, since you bring to the Cowboys fan,
the
I
Commanders
think,
guy's gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, we had a bet every year where if the Eagles won a game, we would owe you a favor, but if they lost the game, you would slide us a little bit of money, about $5. But the thing that I hated was when they did win, our payment to you was clapping your erasers. And you had by far the worst erasers in the entire school. Like they would probably go months at a time without being cleaned. And then here we are, my best friend had to go out there by the steps that went down from the art room and clap your erasers and would come back pale as ghosts.
That was it. That was my punishment for kids. They would go out, and I told them, if I see any chalk marks on the wall,
Yeah, I forgot about that
else,
part. Yeah.
you are done. You're going
We
to
also
be
could
clapping
not
for the
cheat.
rest of the year. So one time
Forgot
I
about
went
that.
out there, and this kid is clapping, and you could see that smoke. Going in hindsight, maybe that was dangerous for the kids to do. But, you know, yeah, I was a chalk guy. My pants were chalk, my shirt was chalk. That's just the way it was. You know, I'd come home and sometimes Karen say, "Oh my, busy day today." I say, because I had chalk all over me.
Well, the good thing for us is that the Eagles lost more than they won at that time. So that was great.
If it was now, you guys be
I
still.
would probably not made the bet.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
whatever.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? Anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to hit before we go?
Well, there are. First of all, I don't know if you know, I don't know how it started, but there was a saying that Fish, Lee, Kaz, and us used to always saying, and there were other people, I can't remember all of them. And basically we came what the real purpose of Girard College was.
Yes.
Girard College was a mental health facility. The staff were patients. And the kids were the therapy. So when staff would leave, we would say, "He's cured."
Yeah.
And then Roger Stanky would come back again. I guess he's bad. He had another rehab, But that was, and we did that for many years. And then it kind of just died off. But that was our mantra for a while. So when people left, okay, it was because they were finally cured. It took me 32 years to finally get cured, but
Well, we're glad you're well, Karpyn.
yeah, I was cured after 4 years, and then I had
You had a relapse.
and I came right back and stuff like that. So yeah, that was just funny. We used to sit in the faculty room. There were so many of us. Kaufman, the art teacher, and Miss Clark, and a lot of teachers, and we would sit in there, and we would go bananas, Martino, and we would have a raucous lunch that you never believed that teachers did during lunch. It was so much fun. So when we get back into class, we were on, because we were just pumped up because we just had this wonderful laugh and we just wanted to have that energy, and we go right into class and do that.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Mike, can you speak to, we always talk about the pillars of the high school. Karpyn obviously being one, Leak being another, Fisher being another, Kaz, they were all there for a lengthy period of time. And what the four of them represented the school and what they meant to you and your class. Because for us, they were fantastic. And it wasn't just educators, they helped us on a mental level. To kind of help us get through.
So with my class especially, it's definitely love-hate. So there's half my class that hated Karpyn, hated Leak. But I think even in that today, if you ask them, there would be a level of respect there, at least, that they wouldn't have acknowledged when they were much younger.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and on the love side of it, now I mentioned this to you in our earlier conversations. You gave me a total education that truly prepared me for what I would do later in life. And I did not see that when I was younger, but, I was able to help do my little piece, a couple times a bigger piece, and helping to keep this country free. If it weren't for guys like you and I didn't ever had Fish, but Leak, that gave me like a real view of what the world was, I would not have been as successful as I was in my life. So personally, I absolutely thank you for what you did for us students, but our class and all of us. I think that as much as you were tough on people, you were also fair. And I think learning that at a young age, whether love or hate, I think a lot of people took that away and learned what fairness was.
And looking back, I just go right back to that student and say, we was just kids. But before I go, there are two things I want to finish off with.
Okay.
One, there are a lot of highs and a lot of things. Just watching you kids grow from ninth grade to senior was one of my favorite things to do. But we had this young lady, and I don't know why, because I don't want to even speculate. She did not like to be touched. And my style was always push.
Joke.
When I saw a boy and a girl in the hallway, I would pretend I had a crowbar, to separate, that kind of stuff, or I would trip him from behind. She did not want to be touched. And I respect that. But on graduation day, she was on her way to chapel. She came with her gown, cap and gown, holding the cap, the gown open, and she came into my classroom. And I was surprised to see her, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And she was always quiet. And she came up to me and said, I came here to thank you, Mr. Karpyn. And she gave me the biggest hug that I ever got. And I'll be honest with you, I stood there and I cried. Because I know that was a real thing. It wasn't like kids saying, oh, I like you, Mr. This was something special. And then she ran out of the classroom like
it never happened.
Like it never happened. And I just stood there and I just couldn't believe that. It was touching. And that's why it's on this list, because that was a really movement. And I was never big for celebrations, but every Memorial Day, we would have the celebration in chapel. Well, first came the speech.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then that walk out of chapel as the whole school and quietly march to the two statues to lay a wreath.
The war memorials. Yep.
Both sides done in with respect and honor. And like I said, I'm not a military guy.
Right.
But I always used to tell the adults there, I challenge any school in this city to do that the way we did it at Girard, where everybody said, oh, Girard, whatever. We did it really well.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it, but I was always amazed every May, every Memorial Day weekend when we did that. That was something special.
Yeah.
It really was.
I had to
lot
play
of men
that
and
trumpet
women.
a couple times.
A lot of men and women went.
Yeah, and the
served
taps
through Girard, so.
with one of the kids would always play taps.
Yep.
Sometime he was off, but it really didn't matter.
I was off. Definitely that first time. It was like,
So there are certain things that I just can't ever forget.
Yeah.
And those are two, and there were others as well. Some of the kids, what they said to me. I once went to and got my mail. And I wasn't expecting it. I opened it up. One of my students sent a document, she signed me up for American Educator, Best Educators in America,
Wow.
or something like that. And I didn't know anything about it. And she was an A+
Right.
student. And I opened it up and it says, thank you. You are now part of the American, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I said, I just didn't even know about, stuff like that. You never forget.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're doing this podcast, because it's jogging a lot of people's memories, and a lot of people are jumping in and saying, "Oh, I remember this, I remember that," and this is why we came up with this. This is why we want to do this. This is why we're working hard at it, so that people like you and everybody else that's Facebook and YouTube and Instagram is having that opportunity to kind of reach out. And we're opening the doors for more people to come in here so we can rehash more memories.
And that's why I really wanted to be part of this, because this is good.
Yeah.
This is good. I just hope it goes where you want it to go.
And I know we could talk all day.
Yeah.
And continue this conversation for quite some time. But unfortunately, that is our episode. If you like this, please subscribe, follow, send this to some people. Look, one of the things, people that didn't go to boarding school are actually finding this interesting. So send it to your friends that didn't go to boarding school. They will find this a little bit interesting. Any final words from you, Dan?
So there were some suggestions, and I know we're out of time, so I'm going to make this as short as possible. But there were some suggestions on how we should kind of end the show and have a certain topic that we kind of touch on. Mr. Karpyn's here today, but when we have other guests, we're going to have them tell their dorm disorder stories. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you or an apology to one of our administrators for me, because I would have not graduated at Girard for this one person. There was a 12-person panel that had the decision, had my Girard life in their hands, of whether I'd be able to return to school or not after I cut summer school in 10th grade. I'm not going to get into the long-winded why I cut it. I just did not go because I felt it was unjust and unfair. The vote had to be unanimous. 12 people had to say no, and that was it. I was not coming back. It got to the point where I'm like, there's nobody that's going to say I can come back. I enrolled at Cherry Hill East. I was actually
Ready to go.
at the summer program of their football program, getting ready to play football and leave soccer behind. One person said, let him come back.
Who was that person, Dan?
One person, Marion Saunders. And it shocked me. And to this day, every time I see that man, I thank him, because I don't think I was ready to leave Girard, and I don't know how it would have turned out if I was gone. So it was beneficial for me. So I'm always thankful to that man. Not only that, but he allowed me to watch his kids and do chores for him so he could give me money, because not only was I allowed to come back, but then I was detained from September all the way to Thanksgiving break. So that was the longest I'd ever been on school. Could not go home, and he made sure I was able to order food on Fridays and had money to wash my clothes. So
He saved a lot of kids like that.
Yeah.
I think all of those
big ups to Marion
guys saved
Saunders.
a lot of kids like that.
Yeah.
Mine is Jim Wyatt. It's not even a question. It's Jim Wyatt, and we're not even going to talk about what I did. And if you don't know what I did, that's how on the low a lot of my dirt was, okay? But I should have been kicked out. And Jim Wyatt did not kick me out. So thank you, Mr. Wyatt. It didn't save my life. It actually made my life.
Yep.
I'm here today doing the things that I'm doing because of that decision. So I personally thank you. Well,
Mr. Karpyn, thank you.
thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Not
Thank
just
you
for being here, but for everything.
I appreciate it, and it's been a heck of a run. I have so many memories. That's why I'm on Facebook. The only reason is so I can stay in touch. And what I've seen, how many kids have grown on Facebook, the travel, for example, watching some kids, the style, the way they dress, you know what I mean? It's, they've grown up. And that's exactly what all of us at Girard wanted them to do, is grow up and do good things. And like Leek always said, don't lie,
Don't cheat, don't steal. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal.
And that's basically it. But these kids grew up, and there's so many of them, and I still see some of the kids. I wish I could have time to see a lot of others. It just doesn't always work out because of time. But I am so happy that these kids, and to be part of their life, I'm there.
That's our episode this week. Don't forget, subscribe. We are on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, you name it, we are out there.
Send money too.
Subscribe. That's all you got to do. Subscribe. We can grow this to be something special. And drop in the mailbag. Please tell us your stories of dorm disorder. It's easy. dormdisorder@gmail.com. We own that. Go ahead. Write to us. Let us know how you feel. Maybe we'll share your stories too. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
Girard College was a mental health facility.